Buenos dias. Great and beautiful morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great Shabbat morning as we continue, or rather, come back to a new video. I'm going to cover something out of this book here by Mr. Lou White. It is the 12th edition of Fossilized Customs. I mean, this book is just loaded with useful and helpful and research information that can help clarify a lot of things that we are believing in, worshiping in, under false doctrines and or mistranslations. And I've covered, I think, very little on these topics here and there, a little, so to speak. But it's under this section on page 14 of this book. And the Hasayahu, Mr. Hawkins, does use a lot of sources, and he does use this book, has used it in times past, and it's very cool, So I'm gonna cover this small section here, and so see if you guys and gals like it. It's pretty cool stuff. It's called. This is on page 14 of this book, on the 12th edition of Fossilized Customs. Page 14, under the worship of the heavenly host. Okay. It says the worship of the sun, moon, planets, and stars was the pattern for the Babylonians, Persians, Chaldeans, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Celts, Mayans, Aztecs, and Indians. They were turned over to worship the host of heaven, or what's in Hebrew called Matzaroth. The governments were the religion. If they were good pagans, at death they would be transported to the skies or heaven to live with their deities. This was called Nirvana, Shambhala, or Elysian fields. The Roman consul Emperor Constantine I gave us the term Sun Day, which referred to the day honoring Sol Invictus Mithras, the unconquerable sun Mithras. This Mithras was the Persian term for Apollo. Here's a coin minted by Constantine showing Apollo and Constantine together. What I'll do is I'll find a picture here online, and I'll put it on my video. Yes, here it is. This is the image that's in this book. Like I said, I'll put it there on my video. Okay. In the year 321 of this common era, he decreed under the penalty of death that all artisans, merchants, and people of his empire cease work on the venerable day of the sun to honor Mithras or Apollo. This was a universal edict. Now, I don't know, I brought it out to y'all, but if you newcomers didn't know this, y'all know this now, that the Greek word for Catholic means universal. It's pronounced katalu or something like that. So this was a universal edict and is still enforced in our Western culture with our blue laws. Interestingly, the government phone numbers are printed on blue pages in our U.S. phone books. Even the little grid, how it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hashtag 0, and the little star or backwards. That has to do a lot with paganism as well. I don't know if y'all read Dan Brown's books, which came first to my attention, I believe. I forgot I think they're called Kamara or Kumara or something like that. But there's these blocks that have been brought forth by, I guess, the church fathers and whatever, but you can't see it too clearly here, but I will put it on my video, is how these blocks, like this one here, all the numbers across, up and down, whatever, add up to 666. It's very cool stuff. Let me rephrase it. I'm lying to you. I think I first came across this kind of stuff in a book talking about Israel Regardie. He was like a wizard and a necromancer or sorcerer, something like that. Okay, that's why I mentioned this here. That has to do a lot with this kind of stuff. Very interesting stuff. It was a weekly ritual of sun worshippers to assemble at dawn on this day to greet the sun at its rising. A great pillar or sun ray obelisk was the solar religion's primitive high place, condemned as a pillar of jealousy, secretly, esoterically interpreted as a male fertility symbol. You know how in Rome you got that big obelisk? It's a Peter, that's what it is. It's a male phallus. And then we also have one in front of our capital here in Washington. Beast out of the sea and the beast out of the earth. The beast out of the earth gave image or gave life to the beast out of the sea. See? No coincidence, people. Tower designs such as steeples, pagodas, turrets, ziggurats, minarets, spires, obelisks, and pyramids are forbidden by Yahweh. Okay. The temple did not have a high place, nor do any buildings where Yahweh's people come together. Sacred pillars of jealousy were to be demolished. Yahweh hates them. These pagan high places will receive the first hallowed rays of dawn. In the primitive cultures, bells were rung by hand as in a shaker grid, and large ones were struck with oak logs swung horizontally. Gongs struck with hammers were especially fun for the Oriental pagan, but they also used the familiar bell shape too. In the book, The Conquest of Peru, Prescott is an eyewitness to blatant sun worship. Quote, the Inca would assemble at dawn eagerly. They watched the coming of the deity, and no sooner did his first yellow rays strike the turrets than a shout of gratulation broke forth from the assembled multitude. The wild tunes from barbaric instruments swelled louder and louder as his bright orb shone in full splendor on his votaries. End quote. Excuse me. The Romans considered anyone who did not worship the sun to be an atheist and a traitor, since Kaiser was the sun enthroned in a man. Sounds like Christianity, huh? Christ is God in the flesh. Hand in glove. Foreign beliefs found some tolerance in the Edict of Milan of 313 of this common era. Religion, politics, and sports were all different facets of the same thing, a means of controlling the behavior of a captive population. We see that today, don't we? You got people that are so devout to football, basketball, baseball, and anything else that might catch their imagination or, their attention. A nation can be thought of as a huge neighborhood gang, but with boundaries that end where another gang's boundaries begin. Thugs rule all the citizens. If you get out of line, those in control feel their power over you slipping. Sunday is one of their biggest promotions. Monday comes from Moon Day. The Old English term was Monangdag, as translated from Latin, where Mona means moon. Mona Lisa means moon lily. We get our word month or month, M-O-O-N-T-H, from Mona, the 29.5-day orbital cycle. But this second weekday is named what it is because it has been dubbed the Moon's Day. The moon was identified with Diana or Artemis. Artemis. I don't want to sound white. I'm just kidding. And in some cults, the sun and moon were the eyes of heaven. Artemis is depicted with the crescent moon beneath her feet as if riding in a boat. And so y'all can see this, and I will put it in my video. Check this out. NASA's first human, no coincidence, people. NASA's first human mission to the lunar thing. It's called Artemis the Third. That crazy? Let me find the image of the pagan goddess Artemis. Let's see. Well, there is no image better than the actual image of this gal here. Same representation. Mary, Diana, Artemis, Inanna, Ishtar, Astarte, Asherah, they're all the same feminine goddess. Okay. All right. Exactly as you will see Mary in the Roman images. There you go, in the Catholic illustrations. The astral king, the sun, and his sister, the moon, were the dominant figures that shaped the astral biological mind. The futility of honoring pagan deities was because their foolish hearts were darkened. They did not honor nor give thanks to the Creator, though his invisible attributes are clearly seen. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Theotates, or Tuesday, the third day of the week, right? Tyre's Day, Day of Tiw, T-I-U, Teutonic Druid Celtic idol. I know a lot of times people have like to use the word Celtic, but it's actually Celtic. Just like the Chaldeans and not the Chaldeans. Because if that were so, then you would be worshiping Jesus Christ and not Jesus Christ. The population of the Angles and Saxons were kept under control by various Druid priest cults. Like any other pagan religion, the population lived in fear and ignorance while the parasite fed off of them and kept them brainwashed. Druids still worship the sun at Stonehenge every summer solstice. There you go. That's what Stonehenge was all about, was for worshiping the sun. There's no mystery behind it. Tyr, or Tiw, was the Norse deity of war, considered the son of Odin, or Woden. The French called this day Mardi, or Mars Day, after Mars, the Romans' deity of war. Mardi Gras, or Mardi Gras, is the French name for Fat Tuesday, still bearing the name of the Roman deity. This festival falls the day before Ash Wednesday, the beginning of Lent, both to be discussed later. Notice the word here, Tiw, T-I-U. I'm assuming that that's where we get our Hispanic, Mexican, maybe even Latin word tío, which means uncle, as the feminine tía means aunt. Tío, T-I-O, can also probably be spelled T-H-E-O, which means God, or Dios, Greek. You see that? All right. Probably has to do with the respect for the exalting of those above us, right? Because they are our aunts and uncles, so we are to hold them up here as probably next of like parents to us. I'm just making something up here. I could be wrong. Wednesday, or Woden's Day. Note the Celtic crux or cruz symbol. It's a solar. The sun, as I've shown y'all on and off, is nothing more than a sun symbol. That's all it is. That's probably why vampires hated to see that thing. All right, let's see. This day comes from another pagan idol's name. An elder in Iceland couldn't stand it anymore and changed the days back to numbers for that island several hundred years ago. When we say it's Wednesday or Woden or Odin, we are declaring it to be Woden's Day. Considered highly skilled in magic or magic, this Celtic deity was to the Teutonic pagan the husband of Freya or Freya or Frigga. The Romans honored Mercury on this day, calling it Mercuri Dies, or Day of Mercury, Mercury's Day. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, if y'all have ever done any research, you might come across a lot of similar pagan practices or parallels, right? As to how a lot of this, you see, because Odin, I believe, is tied into the white Christian religion. As I've mentioned, that Christ has been known to resemble Balder the Beautiful, the white bearded god. So a lot of that stuff is now even making more sense that Christianity is the white man's religion. It's no wonder, it's no coincidence, people, that the image of Christ is a white man with blue eyes, long sandy blonde hair with a beard. These things just are no coincidence. Okay, when I was in the feds, I came across this real cool dude. I forgot his name, but he was a real nice guy. But he was the first guy, actually the second guy, white guy, that practiced this Odin Woden practice. But I asked him what he called it, and he mentioned it as Asatru, the Asatru religion. It says here, Asatru is the worship of the Norse gods. The religion does not only involve the gods, but also the worship of giants and ancestors. Asatru is a relatively modern term which became popular in the 19th century. The Vikings, there you go, did not have a name for the religion when they encountered Christianity. Notice here, what it says, what are the core beliefs of an Asatru? One of the Aesir and Vanir are the principal deities of Asatru. One and two. The gods and goddesses are worshipped in the form of rituals called blats and symbols. 3, there is an element of ancestral worship. And 4, there is an adherence to a belief of personal honor and other right action. It says Asatru is a polytheistic religion in which various goddesses and gods are worshipped. The most prominent are Thor, Odin, Freya, Frigg, Freyr, Tyr, Loki, and Heimdall. There you go, people. Okay, see how all this is actually tying itself in. Okay, all right. So, we were at Mercuri Dies. This midweek evening was highly regarded as a night of Magic. Druids met to hold hands in a circle, chant, enchant, cast spells, and do it while surrounding a burning cross. The symbol of Woden or Odin. There you go, people. Recently, we purchased on Apple TV The Twilight Zone, the movie. And I think that was the first time I saw a burning cross in a movie. Never knew what it meant until I started doing my studies, right? But in that movie, it's a section of the movie, and it's about this guy who's like, he's racist. Okay, y'all excuse me for saying this, but one of his friends at a bar was telling him that, how Jews and Arabs own everything. And the hateful guy was like, again, y'all excuse me for saying this. He's like, what's that? It's just a nigger wrapped up in a sheet. And I was just kind of like, and there's, some brothers right next to him, and they're like, they catch on and they hear what he's saying. But the whole story is that he goes through these phases in the movie. It's real cool. You have to watch it. But he's portrayed as a black guy in one of his phases, and there's a burning cross there, and they're gonna hang him because he's black. The people there see him as black. And then in another phase of his life, he's a Jew, and then in another one, he's Asian. I forgot which Asian counterpart per se he was. I think he was Japanese or Chinese. But that scene is based in the times of the Vietnam War, I believe. And then, of course, he goes back to being a Jew, and his friends don't see him, but he's locked up in a train, with that yellow patch, and he's taken away like the Jews were in a train. It's real cool. You have to watch it. Very cool. So obviously, these people in that story, their symbol was, for this guy, the burning cross, the symbol of Woden. And of course, we have read, heard, and probably seen movies where people who use that are mostly white people and don't like black people. Maybe even Mexicans, I don't know. But anyways, just trying to make a point, okay? All right. The Celtic crux, C-R-U-X, or a cruz, is a pagan Mayik symbol. I'm saying Mayik because it's spelled with a J, as opposed to with a G, it's pronounced magic, right? The Celtic cruz is a pagan Mayik symbol, the trifolium clover leaf representing Woden, Frigga, and Thor. We just read that in the research here. Other Druid trinities include Esus, it's spelled E-S-U-S without the J, Diotates and Taranuus, Anglo-Saxon xenophobia or fear of foreigners, and Druid customs are seen today in the modern KKK. There you go, the Ku Klux Klan. And it's no coincidence that they use KKK because it is the 11th letter in the alphabet, which adds up to 33. No coincidence, people. They still call their leaders wizards and use the Celtic term clan, a traditional social unit in Scotland. The Scottish, the word comes from the Greek kuklos, meaning circle. They like circles, cruxes, and sometimes Druid customs. Okay. And there's a picture here. I'll try and find it on the internet so I can post it in my video. But it says there's the KKK members and other like pagan practitioners in the same circle holding hands around a burning cross or whatever. Okay. The Klan, a very secretive society, rose up mainly in the South of the United States after the Civil War to reassert white supremacy by terroristic methods. The Druids were very nationalistic, so it was difficult for Rome to conquer them. The only way Christianity could win them over was to absorb their culture. This is called syncretism or enculturation. Okay. But let me make a point real quick. A few months back, I believe it was around Easter, the pagan tradition of Easter, I put up a post that said something like, our forefathers or our ancestors fled Europe from church persecution, but yet here we are practicing the same traditions. Isn't that crazy? That's what this is saying. Okay. A lot of these practices, like I've stated on and off, if you're Christian, you're the same thing as a Catholic because both religions keep Christmas, the pagan worship of Christmas, the worship of trees, the worship of the sacred pillars, right? Okay. It's no coincidence, people. All this symbolism ties in regardless in one way, shape, form, or another. Okay. It's all the same thing. You're all the same people. Us over here, through the prophets, through the foundation of the prophets and the apostles, disciples, and Yeshua, we do not practice such customs. Okay. Syncretism, I guess this is the definition. The attempt to reconcile or combine, keyword, right? Combine differing beliefs in philosophy or religion by uniting them, mixing two or more behaviors together. The expression on the surface indicates there is something concealed. Is this the real reason some Christians meet together on this night? Catholics have always had a novena session on this night intended for new converts to be trained. Woden's emblem was the Celtic cruz, a cross with the circle, which represented the sun, right? If in symbology, the circle representing the sun was, that it was invincible, that it was everlasting per se, okay? Eternity, in other words. In the movie Mortal Kombat, which, I enjoy watching those movies, but I see the symbology behind those things now. The Mortal Kombat symbol, as I'll put on my video, is a circle with a dragon or the devil. Okay. That's why the games never end, because they're never ending. No coincidence. All right. No wonder we see so many pictures of crosses with the sun nimbus behind it, and sunsets in Christian art. Not to mention in Christian art and Catholicism. Christianity to me is just the main concept title, as the Catholic Church is being referred to as. It had a name on it. It doesn't say title, it says name, which is mysterion, or mystery. Okay, so that religion per se covers any and all forms, shapes, and sizes of Christianity or churches. Okay, because even the Mormon Church, though they don't, I don't believe, but I remember them having a picture of the white bearded God, named Jesus, in their Bibles. Okay, all right. Not to mention the halos. Halos comes from the word helium, right? Of yellow around the heads of Jesus and the saints. This will be shown to be a worldwide pagan influence. Buddha, Krishna, Ahura Mazda, and Jupiter are just a few found with halos. Cristianos, the origin of the word Christian. Christian or Christians is only used a total of 3 times in all of Scripture, and it is only in the Greek translation. The word Christianity is not found in the ancient setting. It was a term of scorn used by the Greeks to indicate a person who was slow or retarded. I covered this a few videos back. I had the research. I showed it to you. I think I put it up like that on my video. And that's where the word Christian, from the French word Cretin, which means retarded. Okay. We get our word Cretin. There it is. We get our word Cretin, Cretin, from the Greek word Christianos. Here it is. A dictionary defines a Cretin as a fool and idiot. French Cretin, idiot. From Swiss French Chrétien or Christian. We will examine the word Christian and its use in the Greek word later. For now, let it be enough to say that the sect which was established by the true Messiah were called the Nazarim, not Christians. It's easy to fool someone, but difficult to convince them they've been fooled. I love that. I love that phrase. Matter of fact, I'm going to write that down. Write that down and put it on one of my Facebook posts. It says it's easy to fool someone, but difficult to convince them that they've been fooled. Y'all give me a second here. Love that phrase. I am the sarcastic, smartass guy among my friends. But anyways, Thor, or Thursday, I think I've brought this out to y'all as well. Thursday, the Celtic Thursday, the deity of thunder and son of Woden and Freya. Deity of thunder. Isn't Raiden the god of thunder in Mortal Kombat? There you go. The same as Tyrannus. Thor was associated with thunder. The Dutch Donder, or Germanic Donner, or one of Santa's reindeer. Donner. The Romans honored Jupiter on this day, which was originally Jupiter, meaning Jove's father. Jove corresponds to Zeus. The altar of Zeus, used at every Olympic game, is lit by a torch. The altar is shaped like a T. There are plenty of images that represent the white bearded God Jesus, not on a cross, but on a T. No coincidence, people. Y'all put the picture on the video. Referring to Tammuz, the son of Nimrod, and Semiramis, Zeus was originally pronounced the Zeus. The, as in David, Zeus. Z-E-U-S. Okay, are you starting to see the symbology behind Christianity now? If not, you are probably deliberately, willingly, and knowingly just closing your eyes to this. Okay. Remember, people, the prophet Daniel did say that knowledge would increase in these last days. The knowledge is out there, people. I know sometimes we might get scared to see what our moms and dads would say, and our brothers and sisters and our loved ones, and so on and so on, but the truth is out there. Friday, or Frigga, the Celtic name for the Great Mother. Friday, Old English, Frigadag. This was Friday or Frigaday. Frigga was the wife of Woden. The fertility concept associated with this day is very ancient. The Greeks honored Aphrodite or Aphrodite. I forgot the other pronunciation to it. They honored Aphrodite on this day, and the Romans venerated Venus or Astarte. This day was the Egyptians' day of Isis, depicted with the symbol of the fish on her head. What do you see in the back of a lot of people's cars? Oh, yes. That is who you're worshiping. This day, okay, the fish symbol predates the Egyptians, coming from the Philistine cult of Dagon, or Dagon, mentioned in Judges 16:23 and 1 Samuel 5:2. Dag is Hebrew for fish, and the Latin is Pisces, right, or Pisces. It was chosen by pagans because of a female fish lays hundreds, sometimes thousands of eggs, a symbol of fertility. The rabbit is also a symbol of fertility. The Romans believed Venus or Astarte came from the sky in a huge egg, not a saucer. We'll go into more detail when we study the Great Mother, Queen of Heaven, Ashra. Frigga's emblems were also mistletoe and the fish, and it's seen today because Roman Catholics inculturated this into avoiding red meat on this day, replacing it with fish. They have the fish fry. Even the word fry is describing a young fish. Aren't Catholic monks referred to as friars? The Great Mother, Magna Mater, or Magna Mater, was universally, there's that word again, universally represented by the fish emblem. The Greek word ichthys, or ichthus, spelled iota, I-O-T-A, chi, C-H-I, theta, T-H-E-T-A, upsilon, sigma spells ichthys, or it means fish. And I'll put a picture of the fish god Dagon also in my video. Ichthos, or ichthys, right? That's the fish right here, that fish symbol. Does it mean Christ? It is a Greek for fish. Now, Christianity, I believe, is the only comment that I've read, if that makes any sense. But they refer to as their Christ as the fisherman, right? So again, it's no coincidence. With considerable craft, the fish has become a Christian symbol due to a Greek anagram designed to utilize the Greek anagram ichthys, which means Jesus Christos Theou Hius Soter. In my videos, when I was reading out of the two Babylons, this is actually also mentioned in there as Soter. It's a man-made tradition, and it just spells fish. The use of Christograms or theonyms to stand in place of a name of a deity was a custom used by mystagogues. They encrypted the name. Pagans held back the names of their deities. Other forms used have been ICX, IES, IESOUS, IESV, and IHS. I think I also covered this one, IHS, in those the two Babylon videos. You can see the symbol of the IHS in probably most Catholic Christian churches, if not over in Rome. In the East, they used ICXE. In the West, IHS as the cryptogram. The name Yahusha means Yahuwah, your deliverer. The sign of the Messiah isn't a cross or a fish, but a lampstand. If you read Revelation 1 and 2, it talks about how the Messiah is actually connected with all of the seven lamps of the seven lampstand. Okay, but he is not, nor never has been represented by a cross, let alone a burning one. Let's see. The Hebrew menorah has seven lamps and represents his body, the seven congregations, through which flows the living water, or lamp oil, the laws which give light to the world. Right? We covered that more than enough times in the book of Psalms. I'll read it again to y'all here so y'all know what I'm saying. Let's see. I'll read it out of this Restoration Bible. It's very cool. 119, Psalm 119, verse 142 says, "Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth." Let's see. I think there was another one, but I can find it a lot faster in the book of Yahweh since I already know what side it's on. Okay, let's see. Psalm 119. Oops. Psalm 119, verse 105 says, "Your law is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. The unfolding of your laws gives light. They give understanding to the simple." So again, people, if we don't have these laws, then we are walking in darkness. All right. Have you noticed any menorahs in any Christian home or meeting houses? He never threatened to remove any fish. Excuse me. That's actually pretty funny because there is a scripture that says that the lamps will be removed, not the fishes. Something like that. Saturday, or Satyr Day. This was the Greco-Roman day of Saturnus, or Saturn. Saturn was the Romans' deity of agriculture, corresponding to the Greeks' deity Cronus. This day was dedicated to Saturnus, as was the big party at the end of the Roman year at the solstice, Saturnalia. Saturnalia is also another name for Christmas. Saturday was also called Saturday, Sater, and is unmistakably linked to other Greco-Roman mythology. The satyr, or the satyr, a goat-legged half-man with horns and pointed ears, was believed to be a drunken, lecherous demon, with an abnormal sexual appetite. Again, here the symbology, a goat-legged half-man, brought forth through Greek mythology, might have gotten that kind of idea because I don't want to ever misconstrue scripture or misrepresent scripture, but Christianity has put out a doctrine that Christ was the scapegoat, right? Okay, I'll just leave it at that. The seventh day and the festival of Saturnalia was modeled perfectly after the satyr profile, mischievousness, drunkenness, and orgiastic revelry. As you consider the wild weekends enjoyed today by dating couples and party animals with their mojo drives, it's clear that nothing has changed. The Greek letter Y is upsilon, our letter U. Here's a big foundational girder with no rivets, installed by Constantine in the Roman year of 321 of this common era. This seventh day, the commemoration of creation, in which we honor the Creator as the Creator, is a temple in time from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday, changed to his Sunday, under penalty of death by only the authority of a man. So yes, Constantine changed the worship day from the Sabbath to Sunday, which the majority of Christians follow today. No coincidence. Christianity would like to say, well, we follow Jesus Christ's teachings. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But you're still following the doctrines of the Catholic Mother Church. Shabbat is the sign of the everlasting covenant, indicating who we worship. But most refuse the covenant. They make that claim, Christians make that claim, well, that old covenant was done away with, so there's a new one, and we can worship on any day we want, we can keep the Sabbath in our heart. They make all kinds of excuses. This day, which was set apart or dedicated at creation to be a day of complete rest from work, has been superseded by traditions that serve to unite pagans together and overwhelm the beloved of Yahusha, the Nazarene sect. Constantine's historian Eusebius records the emperor's edict, quote, all things whatsoever that was duty to do on Shabbat, these we have transferred to the Lord's day, not to Yahweh's day. They went from Yahweh's Shabbat to the Lord's day on Sunday. He also recorded Constantine's infuriated words, the cursed wretches who killed our Lord. The Italian Romans executed him, Constantine's people. We will have nothing in common with the hostile rabble of the Yadim or the... Sorry, some spam called. Says he also recorded Constantine's infuriated words, the cursed wretches who killed our Lord. The Italian Romans executed him, Constantine's people. We will have nothing in common with the most hostile rabble of the Jews or the Yehudim or the Yadim. I was going to say this earlier when I was mentioning Star Wars about the Jedi. It's almost the same thing as a Yadai or a Jew. Remember, the Romans executed Yeshua for sedition. Yeshua admitted he was a king, and Kaiser ruled as a king over, or Caesar, ruled as the king over all the spiritual and secular realm, depicted in the two fingers raised by the Pope. And I'll put a picture up on here. That also represents that he is the sole ruler. I believe it's water and land. No other ruler uses this unique hand gesture. It is also seen on the statue of Jupiter at the Vatican. The statue was renamed Peter. The lifting of two fingers represents the authority to rule sovereignty over both temporal and spiritual realms. The Dalai Lama goes to the Pope. The Pope doesn't visit the Dalai Lama. Crazy, huh? All right. Since creation, about 6,000 years have been completed. This 6 millennia are the first 6 days, and the 7th will be the millennial year of rest. We are very close to the end of the nations ruling themselves. Given the distances in light years that we can see into the heavens, outer space, many have fixed the age of the universe at almost 20 billion years. To look at Adam 5 minutes after he was created, they might estimate him to be 20 years old also. The trees with fruit on them were brought into being fully developed. The animals created the day after the plants needed the oxygen from the plants. That's possibly why the animals came second. Relativity has been at work also since the beginning. When Yahuwah created the quasars and galaxies of stars, he brought their light to shine upon the earth. That's what it says. He created space-time. The real moons and years are based on the signs and seasons and measured in packages of years called jubilees or yobel or yobelim. We have the Roman solar calendar, and then we have the lunar calendar according to Yahweh's new moons. The jubilees numbering 50 years each. The pagan mind interpreted the sun, moon, stars, and changing seasons based on fertility and sex. Astrology and the zodiac are the source of all sorcery and rebellion. Plant and animal sex is Yahuwah's design, but the fallen state of man caused him to worship it and establish religious traditions based on its processes. All history was recorded by the winners or the victors. Even our history books are written by the victors and or have put on there what the government has wanted them to put in there. Just like we were taught to believe that the Indians here were brutal, but like I said in one or two of my videos, wouldn't you protect the land that you live in from, foreigners, or what's it called over here? From, I just read that word. The xenophobia from, foreigners. Anyways. But real research proves that these natives or actually like have had and have similar practices like that of the Nazarim or the Jews, as far as Mosaic law goes. Okay. So let's see here. It's understandable that their process of measuring time is what is used today. The original pattern of Roman timekeeping established by the authority of Julius Caesar in 46 BCE is still with us. Originally, there were only 10 months in a Roman year. Our Roman moons totally disregard the real new moons. The proclaiming of the new month settled into when Kaiser announced it, and this act was called Kaiser's Kalends, Latin for proclaim. Originally, the first Roman month was March. After you have read this a number of times, you may begin to see this pagan process of keeping time as a kind of mark on us. Okay. We see the same practices being brought forth by Congress, our presidents, and everybody else involved in the House, the Senate, whatever. Whatever laws they pass or whatever customs or traditions stay there. Okay, same people, right? Our Messiah told us that we will know them by their fruits, by their actions. Okay, I'll read this, finish here. What is a week, a day, and a moon? A week is a unit of 7 nights and days. A day is from evening to evening, experienced from whatever location one happens to be on the earth. But also remember, this was brought forth by these same people. And so we today realize that days begin and end midnight to midnight. But the biblical truth says that days begin at sunset and end at sunset. Okay, like we are on Shabbat time right now. Tonight, when the sun sets, then that'll mean biblically that we are already on the first day of the week or Sunday. A moon is concerned with neither a week or a day, but it is a complete orbital cycle of the moon around the earth, beginning and ending when the moon comes between the earth and the sun. Its period is 697 earth hours or 29.5 days, and its orbit is not concerned with any one location on the earth, only the earth, moon, and sun in relation to one another. Roman time, the months. The Roman calendar of months ignores the real lunar phases and the new moons. The term blue moon refers to the second full moon that may occur in a Roman month. Roman hypocrisy knows no bounds. March, name for the war deity Mars. Martes, in Spanish for Tuesday. When the weather began to show signs of warming, the Roman armies would march out to war. March out to war. Marching is what armies have done ever since to conquer in the power of deity Mars. April, the month of Venus, also called Aprilis, from Etruscan apru, A-P-R-U, from Greek aphro, a short term of Aphrodite. The Greek fertility deity. This was the primary month of the great Mother Earth, known by many names. The Earth's mother was fertilized or impregnated on a Sunday after the vernal or Venus equinox, when the length of days and nights are equal. This Sunday was called Easter. It's no coincidence that Easter falls on Sunday, right? Sound like Pauly Shore. Prior to this, the pagan priests imposed a fast from sexual relations. We get the term Lent from the Old English word lengthen, which means spring and refers to the lengthening of the days as winter turns to spring. So it says, stop with the fertility symbols. You're scaring the rabbit. The beast, reign of Babel, wants everyone to worship the government. The clergy is the woman riding this organism of control. Rome enforced its control over governments through concordats, ensuring only the religious traditions would exist in any realm. The U.S. Constitution made such a concordat impossible by the Establishment Clause. Now here's a brain teaser for you guys. It is in our Constitution or Declaration of Independence, I don't know, that supposedly our government will not or has not or cannot or will not establish a religion, right, on this country. But it already has. Okay, it already has. We live under Roman authority here in the United States. As I've stated on and off in my videos, if you go over, I guess, to your lawyer or to a lawyer and just read some of those books, you'll have a lot of Latin language in those law books. Pro se, et al. All these things, those are all Roman or Latin words. Okay. And I mentioned to y'all I just got hired with this company, and I was talking to one of the guys the other day about that kind of stuff, about how the police badges are small, meaning Roman shields. Okay. So the government has lied to its people about now supposedly setting up a religion, but it already has. Okay. This book, I can already see. I've read parts and pieces of it in the past. I have it in copies, but I'm sure it'll say a lot more as to what I'm trying to say to you guys and gals. Okay. So this book, man, I love it. I'm gonna read more of it and cover this stuff in sections. Okay. So I leave you with this one. I hope my viewers, you guys have enjoyed it and start considering what it is that we're actually, being led to believe as far as anything goes, as far as religion goes, right? But as I have told y'all, I study and I only believe nothing more than the pure, unadulterated word of Yahweh, which is the law and the prophets. It is very simple, people. When you leave all this kind of stuff out, the word becomes a lot clearer. It really does. Okay. And like I said, with all my studies that I've done, about 15 years now, I can see a lot of the symbology. I hear things now in movies, maybe even in songs. I mentioned it once or twice I listen to a lot of norteño music, corridos. Corridos are like stories about actual people, but there's a song, I think, as far as I can remember, I don't know who the original singer is, but there's a norteño artist by the name of Polo Urias. And the song that he covers, I think it's called El Corrido de Durango or one of those, the story of Durango, and mentions Mexico as a woman dressed with the sun. And I was kind of like, I heard it now. Before, I was just kind of like, okay, no big deal. But with the study of, apart from the scriptures, I study a lot of this other stuff, the symbology, and I can hear a lot of those things now in songs, in movies, and characters these actors portray in movies, like I said earlier about Remo Williams, Joel Grey portraying Chun, the Star God, or something like that. So, again, people, you need to have these open to understand these kind of things in the movies, songs, and stories or whatever. So, comment section is open. Leave your thoughts, your questions, comments, in the comment section below. And feel free to like and subscribe, share. And I saw this morning that the video of the removal of Yahweh's name, let me just jump in there. And thanks to you newcomers, we now have 35 subscribers. Okay, that video now has over 600 views. Okay, it has 629 views. Thanks to you guys and gals. Keep sharing it. Keep sharing it, keep sharing it, keep sharing it, okay? So until the next one, I leave you, I bid farewell. Have a great Shabbat the rest of the day, and I will see you all in the next one.